So, of course, a very good night to you, and welcome down to the police and you. My name is Stan Gouveia, Mike Side on the controls from the Ghana Police Force, and we come to you live on 100.1 Vibes FM tonight. And for those of you who may be saying, well, hey, this is strange, this is definitely new, it certainly is. And for tonight only that we are on Vibes FM due to regular scheduled slot on 102.5 FM being cricket. So getting ready for the Eid programs. Hence, we just shifted for tonight to this station. Now, what is going to happen evidently is that we are going to be here for the next 55, 56 minutes or so as we do our regular weekly program called Police and You, where evidently you get a chance to be able to communicate with the police men and women that we do bring on. We've been having from the commissioner right down to senior admin persons as well as commanders on the program over the past few weeks. Tonight being no different, where we've got a commander who is on the program and he commands Regional Division 7. For those of you who may know, that's known as Kayuni Mazaruni. It's headquartered in Bartica. And it gives me great pleasure to introduce to you Superintendent Dion Moore, who is the commander of that division. Good night to you and welcome to the program, Police and You.
Good night to you, Stan, and thank you for having me on this program.
All right, Commander, just as we are about to start, I know you're going to be able to give us a little layout of where you're from and what it's like. But let me just say to those of you who are now joining us, feel free, who are joining us on radio, you can also follow the conversation on the Ghana Police Force's Facebook page, the Ghana Police Force. You can also follow us on its YouTube at the very same thing, the Ghana Police Force, as well as you have the chance to give us a call and ask your question of the commander on telephone number right here, 231-8309, 231-8309 when we open the phone lines. You can also send us a text via WhatsApp, 320147. That's 6320147. And let's discuss, as a matter of fact, let's keep it specifically to Regional Division 7. That's the Kayuni Mazaruni district. So for all those of you, particularly in that region, you got a question for your commander? You want some answers? He's here right now, and he's going to be able to answer your questions. So once again, welcome, Commander. And should we just start off by saying, now, Kayuni Mazaruni, we've grown, as a matter of fact, for those persons, particularly in the coast, all we know, we read that Kayuni Mazaruni, they say somewhere in the interior. And then they hear Bartica, oh, the gateway to the interior. But as the commander, the police commander for that region, tell us what area it really spans and how vast that command is for you.
Okay. Kayuni Mazaruni, region number 7. It is the second largest region among the 10 administrative regions. The region within my command comprises of 12 police stations, 4 police checkpoints, and 2 outposts, along with 3 quarries. The region is very vast in terms of its interior locations, riverine areas, and unique lifestyle of the people, not just who dwell and reside in the region, but from people from all the other regions that traverse and conduct businesses within that region.
Big area indeed. You also got wide cross-section, as a matter of fact, wide ethnicities, a multiplicity of peoples, in that region that you actually command. What you also have is a lot of what I would say, what we would like to call not foreigners, but foreign nationals, as well as those who were not necessarily born within the region, who have come there to reside, who have come to find their place in the sun. And many, in some cases, they stay for a while and then they leave. Would that be something that makes policing difficult in that area, given the fact that sometimes people just transit through? They just come to spend some time, make some fame, as we know. They say they're looking for gold and diamond and riches, and then they're gone.
Yes, currently we have both the Venezuelans and the Brazilians. Most of them come with the intention of plying the trade of gold trade. Nonetheless, there are other opportunities that they seek to start up businesses and choose different ways of life. The region is connected with Region 3, Region 8, and Region 1, along with, you can see Region 2 as well, a part of Region 2. Given the fact that these foreign nationals come through all of the different locations, some as far as from Charity, they would enter Guyana, some from Hinterland, some from all the way from Primo to enter into our borders and find themselves into region number 7. It is a challenge because whenever there are incidents involving foreign nationals, first we must have the language barrier addressed. To do so, we seek assistance from the force first, and then sometimes from outsiders who knows the language and speak it fluently. Unfortunately, many of the policemen and some of the women who are in the division can speak the language, especially the Spanish.
Awesome. But obviously, as you did mention, you've got 3 main points of entry from bordering regions that evidently people can cross easily. And earlier when you spoke, you did mention that there are checkpoints in place. How essential is that? And for the average Guyanese who may feel that, well, I'm traveling, why is it do I have to be stopped at these checkpoints? I'm a Guyanese, you know, that you have some people like that. I'm a Guyanese, why just I gotta be stopped, why I gotta be searched, why people wanna know where I'm going and what I'm doing?
The first thing is accountability for those persons. You find a person may pass through an area, then several days the family realize that that person haven't communicated with them over that period. The first thing they ask, oh, the person passed through, let's say 3 months. Then they'll check with the police to see whether that person passes there, and from there on you could pick up the trail to see whether or not that person would have passed there and the connecting journey that they would have ventured into. So it is important for you to account for those persons who traverse or may stop, so you could give a clear picture whether or not those persons were indeed within those areas.
All right. And your checkpoints over the last few months we've noticed have been some of the key areas where you've been able to intercept illegal foreign nationals as well as narcotics. Is this, I'm trying to understand, are people seeming to be defiant, or they figure that you're going to be a little lax, that they would want to boldly reach checkpoints when you hear the term checkpoint, evidently it means it's added security. They're going to be able to pass through with whatever narcotics or so on, but oftentimes we find that they're caught. And yet still, people read about that in the press, and then others are still coming afterwards.
Well, mankind by nature do take chances. And the reason for the policemen and women at those checkpoints is to conduct random checks. Yes, there may be times when something may pass through, but fortunately so far for the police, in every given week you would find in one of the checkpoints something is being done. Quite recent we have an incident at Shrima. Before that we had one at 70K. As recent as yesterday, we arrested a wanted person who was wanted in Suriname for a murder. He was arrested all the way up at Inaku here. He will be transported and handed over to the
security.
So, even though you're Hinterland, there's also counterpart working with other agencies, international agencies, to make sure that law and order is maintained.
Well, my division is not running by itself. It works in tandem with the force policies and in tandem with the other regional divisions. Equally, I work along with the stakeholders to get support, even from members of the public. And majority of the successes that we get comes from members of the public and the stakeholders.
Commander, I want you to be able to give us an idea, particularly for coastlanders who generally think, oftentimes somebody or a family or so gets a call, well, something has happened to a loved one or a family member who is in the hinterland. And the press and other members of the public would usually call, and they believe that the information should be right away. Evidently, and sometimes when you indicate that the police are on their way, they're trying to figure out, well, what is taking the police so long? Given the fact that we're on the coastland, people seem to think it's just a few minutes, maybe move or what's that. But let's just say, for example, the police is with most of the resources based in Bartica, but you have let's say a report or a call radioed out of some serious wounded incident that occurred in somewhere up the Gouveia. Walk us through what really goes on in terms of the police getting there, how long that really takes before they not only get there but comes back out, and what are the dangers that they go through.
All right. For the Gouveia, especially if you have to attempt to report along the Gouveia, depends on how far up the Gouveia. It could be as far as 5 hours by boat. It could be going through all the way through Bokal, where you have to cross over from Puerto Rico, travel from Waterway, cross to Puerto Rico, head to Bokal, and then still head to, let's say, Aranco. So there are 2 ways you can access it. What is the fact of the kind of terrain that we have to traverse is sometimes by boat, sometimes by trail. Sometimes up some hills and sometimes up some mountains. It's not just that you just pick up yourself and go. You have to plan it strategically to ensure that you safeguard the police, and to get to the area safely in order to execute your duties. It's not that easy, and many of times you need the public support to help you. And oftentimes the guidance would come from members of the public in terms of locating the particular area. Yes, you might have a wide knowledge, but the technical aspect of it mostly comes from the civilians. Gouveia, the river carries several rapids with rocks, and in order to traverse the waterway, it's not that easy. You can't just take a boat, take a captain, and say, let's go. You have to take one with the skill, knowledge, and the capability for him to navigate through those rapids along the, I normally term it as desperate waters. It's not easy. And get to your destination. Of course, you would use life jacket and safety gears, but it's high risk. Nonetheless, the police often brave the way and have the public interest at large and carry out their duties.
And then a lot of times too, sometimes tide plays an important part once you're going upriver or downriver, depending on where.
Well, both the Gouveia and the Mazaruni, the water flows one way. It comes out all the time. But it depends on whether the water level is high or whether it's low. There are 2 channels where you navigate through, the high tide channel and the low tide channel. So if you go with a captain, he got a major responsibility.
And most likely, the other thing that would be a challenge for the police, I rather suspect, is that some of those very areas that you go to, there is no communication signal. Is that correct?
Yes. The service provider signal, in some of the areas you don't get any signal. However, we do have a satellite phone that we would allow them to use when they venture out to make communication and to make contact with us.
so that you could get updates as to what is happening.
Quick feedback, and if assistance is needed, then you send support to assist them.
Well, evidently, given that's Kiyuni, then you've got the Mazaruni and you've got the Pataro rivers, where persons were considered more remote. Let's go now down to like closer to the border areas where you've got lots of our citizens who are living too and so on. Earlier in the year, you would have had cause to actually go out there and to be able to put down some of those persons who were actually harassing those citizens who were plying their trade and even moving through some parts of the river. Tell us a little bit about that experience.
Okay. Yes, early in the year, we would have received reports that some of the members of the Sindicato and guerrilla gangs who operate out from Peninsula offshore, they would stop Guyanese vessels and demand payments from them. In some instances, they threaten them as well. However, those portions they are not known to us, but based on intelligence that we would receive and photographs of patrols being done, you would see that those men are armed with rifles and handguns and would always be in a standing ready position. So to counter that, we've increased patrols, and the patrols are joint, comprise members of both the police and the army along the Kaini River, within the Hinterland, Makapa, Kushi, and those areas. With the patrols being in the river, and mind you, for the general public, the highest point of the river is the border of Ghana. So even though, let's say, water level is low, whatever point the water is, up to that point, it's the border. When the water rises, then our border increases in terms of space. So if
That would be amazing to see.
It's amazing in the sense that you would notice that they would shift from where they operate from. And they don't have these tents that are not movable. It's makeshift tents they would use, so quickly they could dismantle and move to higher ground.
21 hours, 23, you're in tune with the police and you, right here on 100.1 Vibes FM, and streaming on the Ghana Police Force Facebook, as well as YouTube pages. You can actually send us a text message, particularly asking a question that is related to Regional Division 7. The commander is on the program, Superintendent Dion Moore. And you can also send us to 6320147. That's 6320147. As we turn our attention now to a little bit more of what is happening in Bartica and the police relations with citizens there. That is the Corporate Communications Unit, was in Bartica a couple of months ago, Commander. And one of the things that we did recognize, so I must take this time to say kudos to you and your team, is that the administration of the region, as well as the mayor's office, have indicated that they work very closely and very well with you in terms of being able to keep that professionalism and that security in Bartica. Nevertheless, you've got people who will from time to time seek to defy systems and to defy orders. What is policing like in Bartica, which is the seat of your region?
Police in Bartica, you have different things to do every day. It's not just a routine. The type of scenarios you get is not similar on a daily basis. Yes, within the township of Bartica, you'd find within the 1st and 2nd Avenue, which is deemed as the commercial hub, lots of people who traverse the roadways,
And unlike other regions, we don't have this kind of heavy congestion. You may find in and out obstruction occurring, but the people in Bartica, they are very supportive, and if one person stop and obstruct another person, as soon as that person is being communicated to, they would remove. In terms of the regional administration and the police, yes, there is very close collaboration between the regional administration, the town council, and the police. And we have a regional task force given the fact that we have COVID on our hands. And I'm happy to report that Region 7, the total active cases as of yesterday was at 6, having recorded 1,274 cases overall. The active cases now at 6, and that comes about because of the amount of work collaboratively by the task force and the police.
But like so many other places, other regions in Guyana, sometimes people seem to want to still defy what is put in place by the task force, and evidently give, as they say, give the police more work. So if it is that they're not doing these public events, they're doing private events, are you having any situations like that where it's a inbox for location kind of event where then you eventually find lots of people congregated, no masks, no social distancing, and putting anyone at risk of getting COVID?
Yes, a few of those do occur. As recent as last Saturday, there were 2 activities slated to be held. One was a all-black party slated to be held at the famous Paradise Hookah Lounge in 3rd Avenue, and the other was at 7th Ave at Brantford Point, where a board was scheduled to be held. But kudos to the members of the public who provide us with information, and we acted upon it, and those 2 activities could not have been held. Other than that, yes, there are persons who would want to have house parties from time to time, but once it is known to the police, action is being taken.
All right, so we've got some questions coming in via WhatsApp on 6320147. One of those questions, gentleman is wanting to put to you, Commander. He says, here's a question for you. He says, what are your plans? What plans do you have about ranks who are impregnating young Amerindian girls without their consent and then leaving them on their own? And can you say if you've received any complaints about such since you were in command there?
All right. Impregnating a person without their consent is not just an issue. It can lead to a criminal offense in the sense that you have to have sex to get pregnant. If we're speaking about natural form of
sex.
correct.
However, if that person got pregnant, there are ways and means in which it can be addressed and an investigation can be done. However, over the time that I've been the commando, I've received no such reports. However, during my visits to the Hinterland areas, some of the Amerindians who you'd communicate with, especially the far-reaching areas, they would give indications that whenever there's a pregnancy of a police or a military rank with an Amerindian, the problem is not just the pregnancy, but when that rank is transferred, the problem is for the community members to look after that child. And it adds pressure on those who are left there to look after the child. So no such report ever received by me that ranks are impregnating female Amerindians without their consent.
Or even underage girls?
No such report of policemen having sex with underage girls. And if that should occur, I will assure the general public that swift action will be taken. Just as equal has been taken by members of the communities, civilians, it will be taken against the police.
And if you're to continue along the same vein, and generally with sexual offenses, and specifically rape, given the COVID shutdown, most regions, this is one of the things that they're grappling with, is that there seems to be a lot of increased sexual activity of sexual offenses or rape over the past few months. What is being done in your region to minimize such?
My statistics would have shown that there has been, yes, an increase in sexual offenses, having recorded 12 between January to date, last year in comparison to January to date. This year we had 16 cases, an increase of 33%. To address that, I've since formed a group comprising members of the Child Care Protection Agency, the Welfare, and the Ministry of Social Services, coupled with Ministry of Health, the Regional Health Officer, along with the police. We'll be working in collaboration to address those issues. We've had one meeting in June, and the other one is scheduled for next month. We will look at what is happening and how we can go forward in terms of minimizing those incidents from occurring.
All right, but evidently, there were some police colleagues who were having a conversation just earlier and saying, evidently, it's not just up to the police alone to be able to fight this scourge, not just in your region, but all across Guyana. But it's up to all citizens to be able to. Is it possible, or have you, for example, arranged that maybe they can have, people see anything suspicious, going back to the old kind of way of how we brought up children and young people, you see something that looks suspicious, you call someone, you report to them, and is the police taking this seriously in your division?
Yes, it is being addressed seriously, and almost 50% of the cases that I've alluded to were as a result of persons noticing movements, or the police recognizing that these children look underage, and eventually question them and realize that something was amiss, have them tested, and you realize what really transpired. We had 2 cases where police saw young females at the beach with males. Having checked them, they were underage, and those matters were investigated, charges were laid. So it's not just that the parent or guardian reporting these matters, but members of the public. Once they see something, they say something.
Earlier and even now, you speak very highly of the support that you've got of the public in your region. What you're doing, and by extension, the policemen and women in your region doing to maintain this kind of relationship that you've got?
Okay. My approach to address issues is not just to sit in the office and wait until persons come to you. I would venture out in the form of having community outreaches, and walk around the communities, talk to the people, not just the old, not just the young, but every single person you come into contact with, they will say something to you. Not everyone is comfortable discussing issues in a gathering. Most times they prefer to have a discussion with you where you would guarantee them that the information divulged will not be disseminated into the wrong grouping. And it helps a lot. So far, I've traversed almost all of the areas within my region, have these courses. We've even looked at as far as Kaikan, where there are several Amerindians who are dwelling there, protecting our borders. Some of them are not being paid. Question whether how they will earn a living. We had discussion with them, and we're in the process of bringing them into the system properly, so that it can provide not just the protection, but they could effect arrests and perform other duties that police perform. So the support of members of the public is important in everything that police do. Without the public, police cannot work alone. Without the public, you will not get successes. I could give you statistics about crime to show whether the region is high or low in terms of increase and decrease. But the kudos will go to who? Not just the police. In my region, yes, we are having a 11.43% decrease in serious crime. With murder, we had 10 murders for last year. We're having 4 this year. That shows a 60% decrease. For robbery violence, we had 5 last year. We only had 1 this year, which shows an 80% decrease. However, with break and enter and larceny, we had 3 last year and we have 5 this year, which shows as a 66% increase. Equally, I give you the rape as well. It's an increase. But when you look at it overall, we still have 11.43% decrease. But every crime that is being reported is not good for society, and it shows that there's always more to be done by the police. We, the police, we are servants of the public, and every living day, I will communicate with my ranks and remind them that you're there and your purpose is to serve the public. Demonstrate your core values, and the public will support you.
As you mentioned, some of these, in serious crimes, you give the statistics, kudos in terms of being able to have a reduction. It means evidently that not just strategies being put in place, but also the work of your ranks and your team, as well as the collaboration with civil society and the general public at large. But one of the challenges I wanted you to be able to address, and as maybe as candidly as possible, and evidently now when a rank is transferred or they're assigned to your region, understanding that one of the things that will maybe most likely be a challenge for them is language barrier, depending on where they're going to be placed. How are they coping? You did mention earlier that some of them you've got, apart from your immigration people, who are actually au fait with the language. How did they come about this? And what kind of work and support the Ghana Police Force itself would have done to get them to that level?
Well, it come about by years of experience and working at border areas and having dialogues from time and again with those persons who speak the language. In terms of rank being transferred, yes, sometimes when a rank is transferred from one location to another, it got a setback in the sense that sometimes that rank has a skill set and sometimes the one that replaces him doesn't have that. But lo and behold, job rotation is part of our management tool, and it is something that we do all the time. And because of that, you would not put someone who is inexperienced to work with another person who is inexperienced. You'd use an experienced rank to work along with an inexperienced rank, so one could gain and learn from the other.
Awesome. And now talking about, given what is happening, as we know, borders are closed. But you've got lots of foreign nationals who are seeking to move across this country. Just recently, I believe it was in region 10, yes, where a whole 2 bus loads of foreign nationals came to the country legally, but they were trying to then cross the border. You've got situations where people who are here legally are trying to cross the borders, and how effective is manning the borders being done by the police in your division?
All right, to man our borders, basically you have to use aircraft most times, especially in Region 7. To get from one region to another, you can use boat, you can use motor vehicle, but most of the border locations, with the exception of Fremont, which you can venture over, and return quite easily. To get to those areas, you have to use aircraft, and every aircraft that land is being monitored by the police. And at those border locations, immigration ranks are there as well. So once recognized, action is being taken, and those who got to be processed will be processed, and if so be it, those who have to be deported will be deported.
Right. Now, what about security in the waterways? And from this aspect, I'm talking more so the situation a little closer to the Bartica area. We're talking about safety and security. How are some of the public transportation carriers operating? Are they complying? Have you had incidents of accidents? Years ago, as a young man, I do remember some horrific accidents on the waterways that would have caused national outrage. And then what happened is that night movement on the waterways was closed down and restricted of the passenger boats. Now in this time, are you having compliance with that? Are you having accidents and deaths and that kind of thing on our waterways in your region?
Yeah, within my region, last year we had one accident involving an ambulance and a boat, and then this year again we had another. In both of those accidents, it was during daylight. The first one, the operator or the boat captain is yet to be found. He was never found, located. The investigation is still ongoing. However, we have since compiled a file and sent it for advice. The second one, which occurred a short while ago, one of the captains succumbed to the injuries and the investigation is ongoing. But in terms of plying the waterway after daylight, it's a no-no. Nonetheless, from time to time, some of the captain will take chances and they will not move. They will not move from the control area. There are other ports of entry right at Bartica that persons would charter a boat and just decide they're going to venture out. To tackle that is very difficult for us in terms of by the time we get the information, we could only communicate. Sometimes you do not know where they're heading to. And during the night, within close proximity, you will find smaller boats traversing the waterways at night, especially between, like, say, from 6 to about 8. Yes. But there is a boat association. There is MARAD, and from time to time we have been in contact with them, have meetings, discussions, and some of the issues were raised and are being addressed.
21 hours 43, you're in tune with, of course, Vibes 100.1 FM, and this is The Police and You from the Ghana Police Force coming live right now. And we've got Commander Superintendent Dion Moore on the program from Regional Division 7, headquartered in Bartica on the program. Been answering a whole lot of questions, quite a number of them coming from you, the members of the public in that area. Commander, I want to turn our attention now to two other things before we wrap up. One is on the issue of traffic. And with that, I want to talk about how you deal also with your own ranks in the sense of if it is that they breach the standing orders as a policeman or woman. Remembering that just a few months ago there was a policeman who attacked an individual, and that was after they attempted to effect an arrest for a traffic violation on the roadway, and the person assaulted them. Afterwards, I believe, after the person was eventually arrested and went to court, the court ordered that they actually publicly apologize by walking with a placard in front of on the first street from the police station to the market and back for a specified amount of time. Evidently, apparently, that rank who was physically assaulted did not feel that that was enough justification for the assault that was meted out to them, and they decided to attack that person. But you dealt with it quickly. Want to be able to elaborate on that kind of policy that you've taken?
Yes. Yes, there was an incident where a member of the public had assaulted the two ranks of the Bartica Police Station Traffic Department, and swift action was taken against the member of the public. The matter went before the court. The court made its judgment, and just like you indicated, part of the judgment was for him to publicly apologize to the ranks. While he was doing that, he was attacked by one of the said police ranks. That rank was placed under close arrest. He has since been transferred, and a file has been compiled, and we are on the way forward, whether it be criminal or departmental. But action is being taken, and thanks to members of the public who quickly supported two things. One, him assaulting the police, and two, the police assaulting him as well. The public was there to support in both aspects. Kudos to the genuine members of the public who supported us. They provided a video to show that yes, the member of the public was wrong to the police. Equally, they provided one as well to show that the police had assaulted the member of the public.
This is not just a police in terms of thinking. This is a human being. And do you find that there are challenges that you may face from time to time where there are persons who believe that whatever judgment is meted out, they believe that it is not enough. And therefore, they probably got to take action in their own hands. Is that a challenge that you're finding?
No, police are trained. Police are trained, and one of the things within your training is for you to have tolerance. As a police, it's expected for you to demonstrate a high level of tolerance. But sometimes some of the, especially young policemen of today, they do not have that, and they demonstrate otherwise.
What would you say to young policemen of today who are listening to you?
My advice to you, do not allow yourself to get angry easily. When you get angry, you cannot think right. When you get angry, you end up doing things that you regret after. Stay focused, stay humble, be disciplined.
And in that vein, we want to turn to the other thing, which is the building of relationships that we've seen that you're doing in your region. I want to be able to highlight some of that. We went, when we visited your region, you took us on a tour, Commander. We went to, I'm trying to remember the name of the place, Brang, but we went to a particular area where you had a youth group, a vibrant youth group. Itabali, yes. And as much as it's remote, we see the police actively engaging with the youths in that area. And with that, as you talk about the efforts at youth groups and some of the things that you're doing, is this one of the attempts to be able to steer youths away from criminal activities?
Yes. Building youth groups, having them conducting themselves in a professional manner and engage in meaningful activities, minimizing their chances of getting involved in small crimes. We've looked at crime and patterns of crime. And if someone commits a minor crime, it goes undetected, he would commit it again. And if it goes undetected, then he continues to commit crime until he's been caught, until something severe happens to him. It's like every crime that is being committed, the perpetrators of those crimes look to see the police action. And if they find the police were not able to detect the crime, then they feel, oh, we're superior. Thanks to the ranks of my region. and by extension the Guyana Police Force. The ranks in my region, they work very hard. They give tremendous support. And having worked with those youths, it helped a lot in terms of minimizing crimes from occurring, minimizing those youths from engaging in other activities that will, from time to time, grow into crime.
A parent just said she had a discussion with another parent only today who was saying to her that that parent was saying that he can't speak to his children. And she actually said that she shared a statement with him where he's saying, "But if you've got 18 years to actually to train your child not to steal, shoot, stab, burn down buildings, laser people's eyes, flip cars, block traffic, attack other people. The police didn't fail you. You failed your child." What would you say about a statement like that?
I would not say to a mother that the police didn't fail the child or fail the mother. What doesn't happen in 1,000 years could happen in 1 second. One bit of advice or one bit of demonstration can change a person's thinking from being that of a bad person and be a good one.
And if that doesn't work, I'm not saying, I'm not pushing that you should get to the force part, but I'm just saying if that doesn't work, what next?
Well, there are several things that you can still do. Even at the stage, if the person end up committing a crime, there are institutions that can help them. It's not just the police alone. The police don't work in isolation, and we work with the other entities. We work with the other entities. Children of today are being protected. The Juvenile Justice Act protects children, protects the rights of children. So there are procedures when dealing with children that ought to be followed and are being followed by the police, by the Child Care Protection Agency, by Human Services, and other entities as well. So, to make such a bold statement, no. We have to continue in the fight to mold our children and to encourage them to be good.
The police or the parents?
Both police.
Both.
If you're not, I'm not
Alright.
speaking just about being a police.
All right.
Remember, police wear several caps. And while I'm a police officer. I'm still a father, I'm still a brother, I'm still a friend. And not every time I speak to a child or someone, I speak to them as a police. Sometimes I speak to someone. You speak about your experiences as a child, as a police, and sometimes based on what you went through or how you see children end up by the wayside.
What are some of the other initiatives that you are working on, Commander, in your region to be able to build better relationships with your communities? I know definitely we've seen those issues of the youth groups being formed. What about community policing and some of the other initiatives?
A lot of our work, we get support from community policing groups, and we have scout groups as well. Community policing group, they provide voluntary service, but the service that they provide is tremendous. The information they would feed you would help you to know what is happening in a community. The police cannot be all over the place at the same time. So every community that policing group exists, you would find a reduction in crime. So working with community policing is always important in modern day policing.
Nice. Come on now. As we get ready to wind down on our program tonight, what would you say is your biggest accomplishment in Regional Division 7 to date?
My biggest accomplishment in the region is the support I get both from members of the public and the support I get from the ranks who comes under my command, along with the stakeholders. It is not about me. The accomplishment is not for me. Once the public is satisfied, I will be satisfied. If the public is not satisfied, then I will know that there's lots of work for me to do in order to bring the situation to a balance. We are servants of the public, and whatever we do must be in keeping with what the needs of the public are.
Tomorrow happens to be a holiday, and it happens to be a religious holiday. Evidently, there are certain guidelines that people should follow. For those in Bartica particularly and further afield who are listening to your voice, what message would you share with them about this Eid holiday, and what advice in terms of guidelines would you leave with them?
Okay, the National COVID-19 Task Force already issued a guideline in terms of what happens pertaining to the holiday and observance of the holiday. While they are allowed to celebrate, there are certain restrictions that they are to follow that coincide with the national guideline.
Any greetings you would share with the public?
Well, even though I'm not a Muslim, I have several Muslim brothers and sisters, and I want to extend a happy Eid al-Azha greeting to not just the Muslim but all Guyanese. We're living in a multi-ethnic society, and every holiday in Guyana is being observed not just by a particular grouping but by all Guyanese. So, happy Eid al-Adha greetings to the Muslim community and to all Guyanese.
On that note, I want to say thank you, Commander, for spending some time with us on The Police and You. This has been the Regional Division 7 Commander, none other than Superintendent Dion Moore. It's been a pleasure. I know you had to come all the way from Region 7 from Bartica to be here. But again, thanks for actually taking the time out from your busy schedule and to be in Georgetown, out of your division, to share with us some of your thoughts, some of your vision, and some of the reports on what is going on in your region.
Thank you very much, Stan, and thanks to the listening public.
And the viewers too.
The viewers,
Yes.
the viewers, and those who support my region, and of course supporting me.
Thanks again once more. And of course, thanks tonight on behalf of the Corporate Communications Unit of the Ghana Police Force that is responsible for bringing this program to you every Tuesday night, as well as the collaboration of the National Communications Network. My name is Stan Gouveia on behalf of all of our producers right here. And the whole team is in the house tonight. We've got Constable Raj Bali, Constable Matabadal. We've got Lance Corporal Brown, who has been making sure that you get the live stream, as well as it's Corporal Hussein. Yes, for those of you who've been watching on the live, you see the flash of the cameras. That's him. I'm Stan Gouveia saying thanks for joining us. And as a matter of fact, we endorse what the commander did say. Happy Eid to all Guyana on behalf of the Ghana Police Force. And do take care of yourselves. Be careful to adhere to the COVID-19 protocols and guidelines.